live from CNBC TV18's headquarters in Mumbai. This is Opening Bell with Udayan and Mithali Mukherjee.
Good morning. Welcome to Morning Call. It's been a couple of rough days for the market out here. We've given up 600 points on the Sensex. It's come with volatility. It's come with a spike in volumes yesterday as well. So it's a little bit of an edgy time for the market, and global events have certainly not helped over the last couple of days. Yesterday was a bit of a rough night in the US as well. So let's see if we can stabilize after a weakish kind of start today, because we've had a couple of days of a pullback from the recent highs already. Mithali, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Yesterday for sure probably injected a further dose of nervousness in the system.
Yeah, I think so, but I think the next 100 points are very crucial, Mithali, because we've come back almost to that 5700 level. Today we'll probably start the day below the 200-day moving average as well, and then take it from there. But I think this 100 points of close to between 5700 is an important level of support, and if this level is given up by the market or by the index, I think the conviction in the uptrend that we have been in for the last 1 month might just start reversing. Markets are about momentum. We've had momentum for the last 1 month, and despite a lot of bad news, the market or the screen has held up its momentum quite well on the days of the falls. But I think this is only as good as 5600. If you start trading below that, I think the bullish traders will probably just recede to the background. The bears will get more active once again, and I think this momentum trend that we have been in will start getting questioned once again. So I think it's an important time for the market, important earnings for the next 1 week, 10 days, and at the end of it, with all cues put in, we should hold that level. Otherwise we might just be getting into a spot of trouble.
Global markets have not been front of mind, but over there as well there are problems developing.
Yes, on various counts. I mean, we've been talking about some of those issues, but more than the S&P downgrade or the outlook change yesterday, I think the fact that the dollar index has started moving up a little bit, because it had got sold down so much and so continuously. You tend to watch it because it's got its head back to 75.6. You don't want it to head up too much higher, because if it does, but there could be some issues with liquidity as well. So a few things are moving around on the margin. For now, I think the headwinds in India are probably more local or domestic, with what inflation is doing, the kind of earnings which are coming in. I think those are the more important ponderables. But in the context that flows have sort of eased off a little bit over the last few days, I think you need to watch what's going on globally. And last couple of days there have been some a little bit of troubling winds which have been coming in from there.
The cluster of action though is building around the 5700 zone again, which suggests there could be some downward pressure.
We'll flirt with that this morning for sure, and maybe given the fact that the last couple of days have been quite bad and we've given up a couple of 100 points on the Nifty very quickly in the last couple of days, we may go to 5700 and then we may try and stabilize there, maybe pull back a little bit as well. I think some of the momentum has been lost over the last couple of days, getting away from that. But I guess the bullish traders would not have cut their long positions or positional longs completely, because this pullback was not entirely unexpected. Maybe the speed of it or the intraday volatility might have surprised a few people, but from that 5950 a pullback to 5750 was expected. It's happened in just 2 days, and it's taken the Nifty a bit lower than what people might have thought. So we could just hang around that 5700 and then attempt a bit of a pullback. But I think the more important levels probably to keep the trend in place, as I said, were probably closer to the 5600 level. We had a 53 to 5900 rally. In a sharpish pullback, you can always give up half of that. So 600 point rally, after that you give up 300 points, you will still be at roughly 5600. So 50% retracement in trading jargon is par for the course in a deepish pullback. But if you break 5600 for some reason over the next few days and then start trading below that, then I think we are not in a second gear kind of a market. We are then 56, 5700 is neutral gear. Anything below that you start slipping into reverse gear once again, and then people start talking about a revisit of 52, 5300, which seemed quite unlikely just a few days back even. So it's an important zone. I think the Nifty needs to respect these kind of support levels and get back into a trading zone, and I think that's the best scenario for the market, that we find support around here in the next 100 points on the Nifty, and then we trade in this range, say 5600, 5650 to 5950 for a few more weeks, and then take it depending on how the earnings season ends and how some of the macro triggers pan out.
The body blow though is in the cash market figure from yesterday. It's not a drip out, outflow anymore.
No, we were talking about the inflows actually diminishing over the last few days, and now we get a large 1,000 crore kind of a sell figure. I think the Nifty futures thing is also interesting, Mithali, because we got a large sell figure yesterday, day before, but not yesterday. I think we've seen unwinding of longs as well. Maybe that neutralizes some of those numbers, but yesterday might have been some of the closure of the long positions which had been built earlier by the FIIs. But that large sell figure will worry people. But you saw last week as well, we got one day of a large outflow figure, and that did not matter so much to the market because there was no great follow-up on the back of that. So it's difficult to say what got sold, whether it's technology specifically which resulted in a large part of that cash market sell figure. Difficult to map that one. But I think in the context of mapping flows, the two things which we spoke about earlier are quite important. One, the S&P outlook change, and now with the S&P warning, it might be very difficult for the Fed to pursue with a QE3 program, because already there's a lot of pressure on its balance sheet. The S&P is given a warning, and a stiff one at that. In the face of that, to go out with another large QE3 program would seem a little bit of a stretch for the Fed, and I think that's probably what is worrying emerging markets today more than the 100-point fall on the Dow Jones index. It's what happens to liquidity in the second half, and whether you stay with this kind of a very benign emerging market liquidity sloshing around scenario post the completion of QE2. In that context, I don't think the S&P warning comes at a very good time, so that's probably keeping the market a bit on edge in terms of flows.
How will the market read the suggested changes though for the sovereign wealth funds?
Oh, that's unambiguously positive. I mean, there's no question about that. This is long-term capital. India needs long-term capital. We don't have a great current account situation, this is not the ETF kind of money which comes in on a Monday and sometimes leaves the next Wednesday. But this is long-term. It's almost like FDI. The sovereign wealth funds usually don't churn their portfolio. I mean, they take a bet and stay with it for years, and this is exactly the kind of capital, since we don't have any great pension kind of pool towards talking about. Sovereign wealth fund is the kind of people that we should be inviting to our party most early. So it was long overdue. I don't know why Temasek was barred from buying more than 10% in ICICI Bank. So these things should be encouraged. They have none of them have any inclination of controlling companies. They just want to be have financial exposure to India and good companies in India. So I think very good for large cap names, particularly the likes of ICICI and Apollo Hospitals, where they have hit the limit.